The one on-screen kill I know he's got is their deuce and a half truck.
Okay. Right. He's the truck assassin.
Yeah, that's so hunting big game there. Almost as impressive as Daryl taking out a tank single-handedly.
Dan goes on. He says, just wanted to point out something interesting I noticed on Talking Dead, which I didn't get a chance to watch, so all these comments were interesting to me. Chris Hardwick asked Carrie Underwood what she thought about the wolf and if he really changed to the light side in that moment of saving the doc.
Yeah, I want to see what noted philosopher and student of the human condition Carrie Underwood has to say.
All right. So she essentially said, well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. It's hard to say. I guess we'll never know. Funny that as a fan like us, she seems to be left in the dark about the character's motivations in this instance. Hardwick asked the actor that played the wolf the same thing, and he spouted off some headcanon about the wolf really being a chameleon and being what he needed to be in each moment. Then, when Hardwick asked the director, Greg Nicotero, he said something about telling the wolf actor that he was enamored with the doctor and he wanted to go off and have a bunch of wolf babies with her.
That I believe.
I think it's hilarious that the actor and the director had different takes on the character's motivations and that the director couldn't get his idea across to the actor or the audience. It essentially came off as just ambiguous and unmoving on the screen. Nicotero was great with zombie effects, but to me he just shows he isn't going to be directing any Emmy-worthy performances.
Now, a counterpoint to that
yeah,
is that Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston were famously not on the same page about it. I can't remember what it was.
That's true.
Do you remember what it was? About what Cranston's motivation was in a particular scene that was very important, I think, in season 2. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was...
I think it might have been with Jane.
I thought it was maybe the Fly episode.
Oh, really?
I mean, it was some big moment like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, they talked about that in one of the behind-the-scenes podcasts, that, like, it came out on that podcast that, like, what Brian and Vince were like, well, I always thought that he was... And so I think that, you can't get much higher in my esteem than Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston.
Absolutely.
And for those to be kind of off each other's page, that just shows how what you put on the screen is open to interpretation.
And I think that's where you draw the line, though. You draw the line at... will I, as an audience member, understand what the director is intending?
Right.
And the director ultimately has that control. The writer can write what they want, the actor can act the way they want, but the director is the guy who's got the vision here.
Yeah, dude did this. And I honestly, I think what was on the film was what he said. Like, that's certainly what I was getting.
Yeah.
That this was more of an infatuation from a pretty damaged, underdeveloped person, and he had already thought that, like, I can change, and we can be together, and maybe... he was going to change to be with her. Maybe she's going to change to be with him. And
maybe Carrie Underwood just doesn't watch The Walking Dead and doesn't know the motivations of previous episodes.
Did she have an album to promote?
Probably. I have no idea.
It wasn't that she's got to be the world's biggest Walking Dead fan if she's on there.
Right. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, the distinction that all three of those groups made.
Sure.
Brad S. says, this episode was bogged down by the nagging voice in the back of my head saying, why the fuck wasn't this the mid-season finale?
Yep.
The material was much more suited to it, and that episode, which infuriated me with its exceptionally unexceptional writing and flawed character motivation and choices, could have been played down if it was episode 7 instead of the finale. That being said, I did find this episode satisfying. And then he has a couple of thoughts. The wolf was becoming interesting. Wouldn't it have been more compelling if she cut his arm off immediately and he survived and became morally conflicted regarding the group? Instead, he's dead, making Morgan and his idiotic decision to save him pointless. Could have been a fascinating choice.
I will be on that bandwagon full force if they don't make anything about Denise's final moments with him.
Right.
If that is just dropped like a plot point and Carol and Morgan keep blathering on without her input at all, I'm going to be pissed.
Uh-huh.
But I'm holding out hope that they still, that Morgan will be somewhat validated. I mean, that's like I always talk about this, that there's 4 quadrants. There's good results that come from bad processes. There's bad results from bad processes. There's good results from good processes, and there's bad results from good processes. In my thought, you want to live in the bottom half of that quadrant because you want to always have good processes because, sometimes bad luck is on your side and you get a bad result from it. But if your process is, you're relying on luck to bring you down rather than luck to save the day.
Right.
So I still think that Morgan's process of taking this criminal who's insane and unilaterally deciding to confine him in these safe walls with all these soft people is, there's no way you can say that that's something we should do.
Sure.
But with Denise saying, well, actually in his final moments, I would have been, your one medic would be dead had it not been for, and the world works in mysterious ways. That fogs up the water enough, I think, to make it interesting. I still in the camp of Morgan shouldn't have done that because the way he went about it's fucked up, regardless of the result. Because it just easily could have wound up in 12 people dying, including their medic.
Yeah, totally. And that has happened to Morgan before. I mean,
Sure.
the whole reason the wolves showed up is thanks to Morgan.
Well, and also the fact he couldn't kill his zombie wife is what led to,
His
I
son
think,
dying.
him and Dwayne getting pinned down and dying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if to the extent that they do stuff with that, I'm kind of on board. But if it's just back to, Morgan and Carol debating themselves so they're blue to death without any new information, surely they're not going to do that.
Yeah, and I think Brad might be at odds here with a lot of the other fans who were so grateful for this stuff being dealt with, being over with. I know it's not totally over with.
Yeah.
With this wolf thing. There's still a lot to work out with Carol and Denise and all them.
Yep.
But moving that forward
The wolf is gone.
quickly. And I think if they keep the wolf around, we start to roll our eyes going, we're going to have a lot more of this. Versus now we can have a real conversation between the survivors without this looming threat of should we or shouldn't we kill him. It's already done. Let's deal with the consequences of everything.
I 100% agree, though, that I'm thinking what the finale would have been like if they faded to black and rolled credits at, Carl turning around and saying dad with his eye socket hanging open. It just seems like just a little bit, like 20 minutes of jiggering on
That's
back half of last season could have gotten that. And
A
everybody,
gasp, right? Just
everybody would have been like, oh man, this is going to be good. Instead, it's like they went out with a whimper, and I don't know. I don't know how this episode is going to be received. I don't know what kind of ratings they're going to be. But I just feel like that this show needs to start sweating those details because it seems like they crested.
Yeah.
And they're going to start eroding their listener and their watcher base, our listener base. God damn it. We got families on the line here. What are you doing? I feel like they're going to start eroding that if they don't get their finger in some of these holes of the dike.
Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe people just don't care.
No. I feel
17 million people have not cared to this point. So,
but there was 19 million people. So there are some
Right.
people who care. And I was just listening to some of the pop culture commentary from last season where Bill Simmons, the poster boy of I don't care how stupid The Walking Dead is, as long as there's pretty girls and zombies, I'll be on board, to this is kind of stupid. This is
Right.
kind of stupid and the
Okay.
same. Yeah, once the spectacle gets old, it's got to be the characters. Like if Breaking Bad was just cooking montages,
that would be fun for an episode or two.
but then it would get really fucking old. You got to have the characters and the drama to build suspense to keep audience interest.
Yeah. Brad also says, fuck Ron.
Fuck Ron.
Moving on. Justin in Cleveland says, after watching The Talking Dead, just wanted to pass along that Nicotero described the bullet as grazing the side of Carl's face, but bone fragments of the skull flew into his eye, causing the wound.
Bullshit.
So that help explains the bullet entry
Get
point you
the
guys were talking
fuck
about during
outta
live
here.
watch. I don't know. Maybe.
It grazed his face and bone fragments jumped up and was what?
I don't
What
know
kind
how
of
it works,
JFK
man.
conspiracy bullshit is that? Why not just? Oh God, God. Sometimes I just wish you'd let
Is
the
that
mystery
more
be.
or less believable than taking a bullet to the brain and living?
That's what I'm saying. Your brain is not down here; it's up here. And if you have it downward facing, it could definitely blow out through there, go through your sinuses, and exit behind your ear, and you'd probably be fine. Again, I'm sure
Okay.
if you've been on Reddit, you've seen dude with the rebar underneath his mouth coming out through the top of his head. People survive all kinds of heinous shit.
I think I'd be more worried about his blood loss at this point.
Sure, but
Head wounds bleed a lot.
they've established that they have plenty of antibiotics.
Yeah.
They got plenty of anticoagulants. They got plenty of fresh bandages. If I feel like that, assuming that there's nothing in there that they got the bullet didn't get stuck in his head, that he could fully recover from this. Like, people live through weird, crazy shit all the time.
For sure.
Like, Revenant was based on a true story, for example.
Right.
I didn't have a problem. I just, I wish Nicotera would be like, people live from crazy shit.
Okay. We have some dissenting opinion on the editing here. Some people like the editing. Devin, the aforementioned, strangely spelled Devin, has some problems. He says, so let's talk about this whole shit hitting the fan while sneaking through the Walker Horde sequence. I'm absolutely astounded as to how much they managed to screw up this sequence. On paper, this plays out fantastically. It sounds great, makes a lot of sense, yet somehow this managed to be one of the most unimmersive scenes in the episode, and it pulled me out of the moment. I work as a professional video editor, so the first thing that stuck out to me was the pacing. The pacing felt far too slow. Maybe they were doing this to try and build up tension, but I feel that this would have played out much better if this all happened in quick succession and left your head spinning as you tried to process everything that just happened. This was amplified by the staging. Everything came to a standstill, and everyone just sort of stood around as all this was happening. I think it would have added some urgency if they were still weaving through walkers on their way to a visible destination goal. It was almost in sight as Sam cried out and was bit.
Yeah.
This could have added some tension of them trying to shake off Sam and Jesse in order to get to their destination before their window of opportunity is closed off by more walkers. I understand this would have been more difficult to film, but it would have been nice.
Or even if they had, like, as they're trying to reason with Sam, if, like, Rick was trying to push walkers off, like...
Right.
Instead of them coming from nowhere, that would have built, like, the tension would kept building and building until he finally gets bit, where
they do the classic kung fu thing where everybody stands around in a circle waiting for a moment where they can get kicked in the face. Mm-hmm. That's what the walkers are doing here, too.
It's reverse, kung fu set.
You've got a woman full-on screaming her bloody guts out.
Yeah.
And the walkers just kind of hang around until they're ready to bite.
Intersperse that with people like, like Carl and Rick and Michonne trying to fight them off to buy them time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine this is as annoying it is for me as an amateur to watch some of this stuff. I imagine if you're kind of any professional editor or cinematographer or whatever, it must be a real mess.
Yeah,
because I noticed that, like, there's this one guy I watched that was critiquing The Walking Dead, and he was showing the obvious differences in budget between, like, season 1 and season 2. And he's been calling out this day to night stuff for a long time.
It's horrible.
Like, but he's like he was from the angle of, like, they actually appropriately applied the dusk filter to the scene where they're, like, in the highway and they're wanting to go search for Sophia, but they're saying we're losing their light. But he's like, but you can obviously see that the shadows cast on their bodies are from high fucking noon. I'm like, wow.
I don't care so much about that, honestly.
But I'm saying, like, if you're a professional, that's the kind of detail. So he was seeing these problems back in season 2. Now they're so glaring that laymen are like, what the fuck? It was broad daylight and raining, and now it's pitch black and dry.
It's getting worse. I mean, it's a symptom of the obvious problem that is, we're not going to give you the money you need to make these shows correct.
And now their shooting schedule's being compressed because they got Fear the Walking Dead creeping in on the off season. So it's like maybe 2 years ago they would have waited for the rain to go away. Mm-hmm. But here it's like, no, this fucking show has to be shot.
And I mean, I don't know if people listened to our preview cast, but we talked a lot about the lawsuit with Frank Darabont and AMC. And like, that's one of the big reasons why I'm complaining about AMC, being a little too greedy to get stuff done right, because Frank Darabont clearly had a problem with this.
Yes.
He saw the footage of season 2, episode 1, and said, this is absolute shit. Like, I thought there was something physically and mentally wrong with the person creating this episode. Mm-hmm. It was so bad I needed to change it, and they wouldn't let me do it.
Right.
Because it would have cost more money. And not only,
and those are problems we saw when they were on there. Like, this way they staged the scene is bizarre.
Yeah, it comes across on the screen when they cheap out on things like that. And this is the biggest show that has been on TV in years. I mean, Lost is probably the last time there was a show this big. Yeah?
It's such a cash cow.
As far as like a drama.
It's
I know
such a cash cow.
NCIS and shit.
The raw numbers of people who are watching it are like network TV numbers. So they're getting
network
that on advertising.
TV of decades gone by. Yeah. Like back when network TV was fucking huge.
Yeah. They're getting network TV numbers. So they're rolling in commercials. They're getting name sponsorships and tie-in deals, which are highly lucrative.
Yeah.
They're getting video game licensing.
Is insane.
And also they got The Talking Dead,
right,
which is just printing money for them.
Uh-huh.
And they've got Fear the Walking Dead, which even if it's only getting 6 or 7 million people, that's still as good as HBO's doing on Game of Thrones.
Right,
so,
that's a hit show by most comparisons.
yes, it's more than Breaking Bad got. It's more than Mad Men got at height. So they are making tons of money. The fact that they're cheap, they're giving you an inferior product. Like, maybe it's good enough for you, but like, I don't know. Like, if you could,
it could be so much better.
If you could be getting a $40 bottle of wine, if someone gave you an $8 bottle, would you? Well, it's it's good enough for me. It's like, well, wouldn't you want to see what the $40 bottle tastes like?
Yeah, I don't know. If someone was making $1 million a year, and had a shitty apartment and a shitty car and ate Kraft mac and cheese every night, but wasn't saving toward anything, just pocketed the money and never did anything with it till the day they died, because that's what they're doing here. They're going to use it on other stuff, sure, but put it back into your life, put it back into your show. Some of it, at least. We know you're making enough. And
especially if you take the analogy and be like, it's not just you. If you want to do that and be a hermit, but now you've got
your family.
You got a wife and kids,
right.
and the other people that are not having a good time because of this. Like, that's us. That's us as the viewers.
Yeah.
So, and again, if they were making, if you're making the argument that, like, this is paying for Mad Men or Breaking Bad, which was a lot of people's argument for a lot of years. Well, now, like, do you feel comfortable that this money's paying for Turn, Hell on Wheels, and Halt and Catch Fire?
Sure.
Maybe you like Halt and Catch Fire, but still.
The Killing? No, that's on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, it boggles my mind why they wouldn't plow more money into this.
Yeah.
Because it's really the seams are really starting to show.
For sure. Let's move on. King Gore says, this episode was what was expected. They all died. Talking about the Andersons. All the useless, no good, ain't worth the air they're breathing people died. Now we can see this show be what it should be. A show of survivors living a zombie invasion, not cooking pie and having parties. Also, was it just me, or were some of those shots just shitty with some crappy zombie makeup?
That's the one thing I still haven't seen.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
That's one thing I still haven't seen.
And when I say pretty good, I mean, some of the best shit out there.
Yeah.
like pretty good is underselling it.
I mean, there was... I feel like if you go back in season 1 and 2, you can see some really shoddy zombie work done. Like, especially...
Yeah.
Like, foreground zombies just wearing pancake makeup and a couple of wounds. Which, and I don't even know that was a bad make. That could have just been, well, zombies are fresher. Like, now it's very rare to see a zombie that's not fully skeletonized and got its lips rotted off. Zombie effects are the one thing I don't think this show is fucking up.
Right. So, sorry, I can't agree with you, but wanted to get you on there. Matt from Knoxville says, I don't know about you, but towards the end of the episode, when it was doing all the flashes of everyone hacking the zombies to pieces, I couldn't stop thinking that was... all just a team-building exercise cooked up by the HR guy at some big company.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have been involved in some dumb team-building stuff at work. How cool would this be? According to Rick, the CEO, it worked like gangbusters.
Sure.
They're going to rebuild society and everything. Yay.
A new world, Carl.
Right. I don't know. I thought that was just a funny idea. He's like, all right, everybody, we're going to go out here and we're going to kick some zombie ass. And it's going to bring us together. Ed from Calgary says, well, I'm sure Aaron is pumped about moving forward with Rishon, his shipper nickname for Rick and Michonne. Save some enthusiasm for these are both awkward. Carrigan, or Moral?
Okay.
Carol and Morgan mixed together?
No way.
All that tension wasn't resolved by martial means, so I can't wait to see the water back on in Alexandria. Then
Morgan
these two
and Carol
can finally let off some steam.
I haven't seen a least plausible pairing since Paul Abdul danced with the animated cat, man. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
No, I wanted to read it, but I'm totally with you.
What's the other one?
Carol. They're more likely to kill each other.
I blacked out Carol Morgan. What was the other one?
They're both Carol Morgan. Cargan or Moral.
Okay.
How you combine their names.
Okay. Because like Morgan and Carl, that's just gross, man.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Not going there. There's some bad eye jokes in there. Rob B.
Yeah, with some Full Metal Jacket flair.
Yep.
Okay, keep going.
Rob B. says this has to be the best episode of Walking Dead in recent memory. Quickly ending boring subplots like Whiny Sam and the Rogue Wolf, all while pounding us with balls to the wall action. I know. Morgan and Carl are
I feel
just
flushed.
ugh. Could this be the start of a Walking Dead renaissance, or will we return to slow slog of episodes past? Come on. You know the answer to that.
I mean,
you know the answer, Rob.
So the Hope caucus would say that everything you said is true. They have really tied off a lot of bullshit plots, and
I agree with that.
previous bullshit plots have now some interesting underpinnings that they could, like Rick and Michonne. That would be very interesting. This whole Carol Morgan thing getting injected with a little bit of Denise.
I like this Negan thing. The potential that has. A bunch of his dudes just got blown to fuck.
Yeah,
well, he's probably not going to be happy.
Yeah, is he going to be? What's going on with that? That's
right.
So there are, and again, you're heading into like one of the golden ages of The Walking Dead, the comic books. So these are all reasons to be hopeful. However, past performance, while not guaranteeing future results, is a decent indicator.
It is.
And I think if Warren Buffett were looking at the show, he probably wouldn't be buying.
Sure, he'd be bearish.
Yeah, he would be. He'd still be selling hard.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know, because I thought, honestly, the last season and a half killed me, because I was really thinking Gimple, like, okay, he shed all the bad decisions of previous administrations, and a lot of the disgruntled actors that wanted out of their thing because they were Darabont people and were ready to go, and it just never materialized. So now I'm kind of cautiously pessimistic. And if it turns out to be better than that, then I will treat it appropriately.
I think that's the proper setting for The Walking Dead.
Cautious pessimism.
Yeah. He says he has 2 complaints. The mid-season finale ended with whiny Sam saying, "Mom, Mom, Mom." The premiere pretends that it didn't happen, and then they stop amid the chaos to have a group chat. What the fuck?
She just fired a mom glare at him.
I guess.
That stopped him.
Quieted him down.
No, I mean,
also the RPG to the fire. Whatever.
You're right. Again, it doesn't.
There's a strange continuity thing. Just like we had him saying "mom, mom, mom." Now it's not happening.
So imagine if they went with the rain, and I know everybody'd be like, "Oh, this is the Death Star too. This is just what they did in the previous season."
It would be, yeah,
and it would be. But it also, as the zombies started to get a little bit more curious, like I could see Sam losing his shit. Like I felt like they did enough to explain why he lost his shit at that point. But this guy who goes, "Mom, Mom, Mom," and then is silent in the trooper until it gets to be dark. I'm just like, I'm explaining. It's dark. He sees a child
kid,
zombie.
Yeah.
Now he's really starting to lose faith in the plan. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of how they could use the awkward rain.
I hope that's not as close as we get to seeing a zombie baby. That child zombie. What was he? Maybe 8?
Younger child zombies by far.
That's true. That girl in the first episode.
The teddy bear girl.
Yeah.
Really young.
She was, maybe 5?
Yeah.
If that. Anyway, all right, move on to Ellen. This is a long one. We're approaching the end here pretty soon, though.
The end.
This episode was not only very rad, it also cut through also cut through so much of the meandering shit that The Walking Dead has become known for. Feels like they heard all the legitimate criticisms.
That's a new spinoff. Meandering shit.
Meandering shit.
The Walking Dead.
Wow.
Fear the meandering shit.
Yeah, she said it. It feels like they heard some of the criticisms and adjusted. I don't agree. I think they're doing the same old for Walking Dead.
I do. No, I will say that one of the positives of having a show kind of been run by first timers who might be a little insecure and brittle is that I do think popular opinion could affect them for good and ill.
Okay.
Like I see a not self-confident production at the way they handled the Glenn controversy. Like they decided going in that they were going to handle it this way, they're going to make it a mystery, and they couldn't even fucking wait 24 hours for that shit to go out there and gel before they start issuing press releases and it's Glenn's story might not be done. I mean, like, just have the confidence that you made a creative decision and stick it out there. So,
did you see the comment that Kirkman made?
Oh, there's been recent comments?
Yeah. He came out and basically said, you guys are getting too worked over the stuff outside of the show, too worked up about it.
Is he talking to fans?
He was talking, yes, to the fans, and specifically about the thing where he removed Glenn's name, what is his name?
Stephen Young,
from the credits. sequence.
What do you mean by too worked up?
He's like, just pay attention to what's in the show. Don't worry about the other stuff.
That is what's in the show, asshole.
Yeah, that's in the fucking show. Sorry, your credits are in the show.
Yeah, it's a deliberate manipulation to make us think something. Don't be fucking bullshitting us, Kirkman.
If you wanted us to think that, why make all these comments out in the press about it?
He's
motherfucker.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, we had a lot of people write in last week.
He gets this way in his letter department, too. Like, he's very, very defensive about his creative decisions. Which, in my case, like, just shut the fuck up.
Just be a little more humble and admit, yeah, we fucked up, or something like that. Like,
your most passionate fans are parsing your material for their most beloved characters. Oh, my God, what a terrible problem.
Right.
Now you're telling them to cool down. Like, I feel like you say that's the James T. Kirk equivalent of saying, get a life.
Uh-huh.
You know? Like,
people don't enjoy that.
You're right. I don't need to dedicate my 9 o'clocks on Sunday evenings. Thank you for setting me free, Mr. Kirkman. Like, that's so shitty.
I agree.
That's so shitty.
Ridiculous. We had somebody write in about it last week, and I don't think it made it to the emails. Anyway, let's continue with Ellen's email here. I'm chopping a little bit of it for time, but she says the difference between this episode and the entire first half of the season is amazing. The first half took hours to tell as much story as this episode tells in 40 minutes.
Yep.
This episode is lean, it's tight, and I was gasping at points because I was so genuinely shocked. Which you had mentioned, I forget if you mentioned this on the actual show, but you kind of wish you didn't know the thing about Carl's eye.
I think
because it might have been.
I do, because I think that they really nailed that moment.
I thought so too.
That particular moment.
That camera turning around to Carl
looked just like from the comics,
and this horrific injury. I was like, wow. And
I remember
I
in
the
comics that was a genuine like holy shit moment because all the things you think of like. They're kind of primitive in their medical technology. Like, that's a really bad shot, but it's also not, like, right in the middle of the forehead.
And he is able to speak after it, like...
Yeah, like, it's genuine moment of tension. And also, like, maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, people could have thought about, this parallel, him being accidentally shot for the deer. But, that seems plausible that a little kid would get into mortal danger more than once in his career as a zombie fighter.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great, and I felt like same thing. A lot of moments in Game of Thrones where I read the books, and it's like I did this to be a better podcaster, but I can only enjoy vicariously people's reactions to these momentous plots and judge on how well it worked versus how well it worked when I read it. I kind of wish I had that visceral. Oh, wow, because I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, and she says the same thing with Sam when he gets his bowl cut torn apart. I was floored. It's been ages since the show has been unpredictable. Hopefully his hair will be better in death than it was in life.
Yeah. I think that the other thing is, if you're not going... Why foreshadow Sam's meltdown at all last season if you're going to bury it that far in an episode? Why not just have them, they're out and they're in their guts and they're holding hands and they got kids with them, including a baby who could cry at any time. That's a lot of genuine human drama. Do you need to have him going, Mom? Mom? Which turns out to be a red herring anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about the mom thing, but they should have just tucked Sam under one of their Afghan things, their ponchos.
Yeah.
It's like, look at my chest, Sam.
Look at my chest here, Sam.
Don't look at the walkers. All right, Joe from Cleveland says, well, hats off to the Spoiling Dead for completely nailing the mid-season premiere.
They did.
That's the other thing. Like, even knowing the comic book plots, now we know the actual details of how the episode's going to play out. It was totally spoiled for us.
Although I thought that was effective because I might have been calling bullshit about this little powwow and, like, dividing and going. But knowing that was coming, even though I didn't believe it, made the... trust in Gabriel feel a lot more solid. Like if I was just confronted that just raw, naked, not knowing what to expect, I think you and I would have been like, it would have taken us a commercial break to get over it.
For sure.
You know?
He says, in all seriousness, the episode was fairly good. I did have an issue with a few things, though. All of the Alexandrians becoming master zombie killers at the end of the episode, and there not being even one casualty in the entire extinguishing of the zombie pack. Bit ridiculous. 2, I thought the scene where Carl got his eye shot out was okay. The visual effects were sort of lame. Would have liked to seen a little more blood squirting and agony from Carl.
You know what, though? I actually think that them trying to construct a shot of Carl with his eye blown out from the comics, it looked exactly like that.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe if they weren't trying to so slavishly. And also, I think the other thing they're really trying hard is like, we got to get Chandler Riggs in makeup from this point on, or he's going to have to wear an eye patch or something. Like, do you really blow a crater at the side of his face? Do you make it really squirting blood, or do you make it more or less like the comics, which is cool for comic book fans, and it's believable you could survive through something like that?
And easy to cover.
And yeah, like I think this is essentially going to be entirely covered by an eye patch with maybe some latex kind of...
Yeah, like a small scar coming out the side.
Yeah.
Could be. Number 3, again, the zombie awareness from the group is just comically bad. Michonne, Carl, Rick didn't see the zombies closing in on Sam or Jesse. Number 4, kudos to Glenn for unrealistically escaping death again. Pretty impressive that not one of the bullets hit him. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. Moving on, Frank says, I figure it'll be a point of discussion as to how quickly day turns to night when walking to your car during the zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
Here's the plan. We'll walk to the cars, make noise, drive the walkers back to the quarry, make profit. Good plan. But apparently this walk was longer than the Mogadishu Mile.
I'm telling
My
you.
My guess is they filmed the big zombie eating hot mom and her son, plus Carl getting shot in the eye on a soundstage as a way to adhere to AMC's ridiculous rule of 50% of the shots in every episode being shot indoors. That's something we hadn't discussed about it. I wonder if there's anything to that.
I just want to know where the Pakistanis and the Malaysians were with their armored troop transports because, you know, they weren't such pussies staying behind a base. Maybe Carl was getting his eye blown out.
Maybe not.
That's an elaborate Mogadishu Black Hawk Down reference.
Yep. Which I've read a little. Apparently that's not like that didn't take place how they pictured it in the movie. But whatever.
Really?
Surprising, right?
They Hollywooded it?
I know.
Shocking.
He concludes with, all in, I enjoyed the episode. Way to go with the RPG coming into action so quickly. Human kill of the week.
So we've got, if I'm correct, they showed us with 4 rounds of RPGs. There was 3 in a case and 1 that was loaded into the launcher that the soldier had slung over his back. Now, there could be additional cases that were either on the ground or further in the truck bed that we didn't see, but we know they've got at least 4, so they could have used half of their munitions up at this point.
I think what they should do with this is let it fade into the background. And then spring an RPG on us when we need it and don't realize that we have it. Something
kind of awesome. And there's precedent for that because the grenade that Rick uses to escape from the CDC was like shown in the 2nd episode.
And Carol was like hanging on to it and she's like, I got this in my purse. Would this help?
Yeah, I did your dry cleaning and I feel like that they have the restraint to do that in their DNA.
Yeah. But that was also a Darabont.
That was also Darabont. I
don't know if that'll hang around.
Yep.
Maybe they have some vestigial fortitude there.
But I also don't want to see them shooting like 14 rounds off.
Right. It would lose its impact.
Yeah.
That needs to be a big event every time they shoot an RPG.
Yes.
So, and I think that's why people were complaining about lighting a fire with an RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there should be a conversation. And I thought it was also shocking that, like, I mean, gas is a fairly important commodity in this world. Like, you know, leaving aside the whole turning to jelly and all that stuff this far into it.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's diesel fuel.
I thought it was interesting that, like, in his own way, Daryl unilaterally deciding to use how many gallons of fuel to, you know, to pollute a potential water source, a place where they could do some fishing, you know, it's essentially, and then set it on fire with an RPG. Like, I get it. It's, you know, he's got to make his own decisions and whatnot, but.
And what's more important, a gas tanker full of gas and a single RPG shot or a town that you could fortify and live in? I feel like it was worthwhile. The guy, like, he made the right call. Let's say he doesn't have matches. Let's say there's no other scenario here. He's got to make the choice. I think he made the right one.
Why in the retention pond, though?
I don't know why he pours gas in there. I thought it just leaked out everywhere, and he really, like, there was so much of it, it just went all over the place.
Like, I feel like it'd been better off to, like, there's still cars or some, maybe set a structure on fire or something.
Will it float and all of it burn off?
I'm sure, yeah, gas floats on water.
Like, I know oil will float.
No, gas is lighter than water.
Okay, so maybe it'll all just burn out, and
Yeah.
they can drink that water.
It's still, I don't
know if I'd trust it.
Yeah.
Maybe have, I don't know.
You
the
can dump
construction guide
a
test
whole
it.
tanker's worth of oil in a pristine sound in Alaska, and it'll kind of eventually not be so fucked up. But
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to go lick pelicans from that area.
Okay. Fair enough.
Or fish out of that hole.
Mary Kay says, I used to watch The Walking Dead literally sitting on the edge of my seat, ready to grab the arm of my husband at any moment. That hasn't happened in a long time. What is missing is tension. The show used to feel a lot more real to me. There is no tension anymore, really, because they kind of threw all the rules for dealing with zombies that they had earlier established out the window.
Agreed.
The scenes with them killing all the zombies was preposterous to me. At the prison, they had to make special suits in case they got bit, and they actually had a plan, and they weren't near as many zombies as last night. I was actually just kind of laughing during the sequence, especially when they showed the slashing close-ups of each character. So that's another reaction to the editing they did there, is laughing at it. Just as valid.
I remember that I thought last night when I was watching it live that I thought the strangely explosions in the sky music with the rapid intercuts of everyone killing zombies was a little absurd. But you thought it was cool, so I respect that opinion as well.
It is very stylistic. Like, they were going for a thing there, and I respect that.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't hit it perfectly, but I thought they hit it well enough that
okay.
It was cool. For me, anyway. Some people laughed at it. Laughed in the face of it, like Mary Kay. She also says the believability of people just suddenly able to run through zombie hordes and not get caught or bit, like Denise. She was kind of in danger most of the time, but when she was actually running, she was fine.
Yeah.
It was when they slowed down to kill a walker or just hang out and have a conversation that things got bad. Anyway, that's the final email. So I guess we have a couple of emails for a spoiler section. It won't be a very big one here, but there are some things to talk about.
All right.
So that's it for the episode. Take us out.
If you would like to send us more feedback, do so at watchingdead@baldmove.com. You can also get on our forums every week. We have a thread for the episode proper, and people start all kinds of alternate spoiler threads and who knows what to talk about the discussion. You can get all that at forums.baldmove.com. And we'll be back next week on another Monday. Got our live watch on Sunday, but now it's time for the spoiler section.
All right. So if you want spoilers, we'll see you after the music. If not, we'll see you next week. Till then, I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And we're back with the spoiler section. I've got a couple of emails I'm going to read back to back here because they both deal with kind of the same thing.
Okay.
And then one further one after that.
All right. Because I will say that, man, with Chandler Riggs being the kind of actor that he is right now, and with him kind of living with this grizzled wound, there's a plot where Carl tries to infiltrate Negan's camp single-handedly. And there's some genuine moments between Negan and Carl that I think are going to be pretty special with the people that they've got tapped. I mean, I know what Chandler Riggs is capable of, and the comedian.
I know what the comedian's capable of.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be good. That's going to be real and hit in a way that the Chandler Riggs is too old to play. The lost little boy eating the gallons of chocolate pudding while his dad's dying. Mm-hmm. He's going to be just the right age to square off in this way. So I'm really optimistic about that plot line in particular.
Yeah, there should be. I'm really curious to see how they're going to introduce Negan.
That's the other thing. I've forgotten enough details about how that goes that it's going to be kind of like I'm not going to be too nitpicky about how they implement it.
Okay. Well, I've got some Glenn stuff for you.
All right. Bring it on, Glenn.
Both Brad S. and Luke B. have some comments about Glenn and his death and all that stuff. It says, Brad S. starts with, Glenn escaping fate once again. We're definitely seeing him become invincible, setting us up for his death at the end of the season at the hands of Negan, correct?
See?
I know. It'd be perfect. And
I spell in my notes Knee because I know every time I got to it, I'd say Negan if otherwise.
I'm doing it too. It would be perfect and may probably, but maybe not, make up for his fake out by giving us a real shock.
Huh.
And then Luke B.
I have an alternate theory on that.
Okay, let me get through Luke B's because he's got the same stuff. So after watching Talking Dead last night, I'm convinced that Kirkman and the show are trying to get people to Google Negan. This all started last year when some interviewer asked Kirkman for a fake spoiler for season 6, and he replied with something about Negan, beating Glenn to death with a bat. Then you get Glenn's...
That was on Hardbook's midnight, right?
I think so. I don't remember where it was.
So.
But...
And that's my first wow, this guy just doesn't give a shit about your enjoyment as a fan.
Right.
Because it's the hardcore fans would tune into something like that. And then, that's, I guess you could take that as him joking. That's one of the spoilers that tells you nothing, because he could just be giving that saying that it's a remix, or it could be that he's just being a dick and telling you how it's going to be.
And they frame it as a fake spoiler. So,
but he gives a real
might be
comic
giving
spoiler.
a real spoiler.
Yeah,
I know. It's a real fuck you.
Then
you get Glenn's...
It must be fun to be in his head. and there's a streak in me that
he's having fun.
There's a streak in me that admires what he's doing here. But as the small business owner who relies on the compassion and the solidarity of a fan base, I'm kind of staring in horror at what he's doing.
Poking them with the stick.
Yeah.
Is not a
that's a
great
man.
idea.
That's a man who's fuck you rich and doesn't care.
Right.
Maybe he even wants to stop doing this.
Maybe
he wants he's got some other property now he's got on Showtime.
Well, his Skybound or Sky?
No, but there's another kind of creepy
the comic thing is
thing that he's doing now. And I think it's either on HBO or maybe it's on
Showtime.
Showtime.
I don't know what it was.
Maybe it's on Cinemax. I don't know.
Anyway, he goes on. Then you get Glenn's fake out death last half season. It's had one purpose, and it was to purposefully set up. Well, that's what purpose is. Set up in the non-comic fan's mind that Glenn could not die. Then with the finale, you have the Negan name drop. Then last night, the show opened with it again. Then on Talking Dead, Chris Hardwick flat out says Abraham had the right question. Who is Negan? I might be reading too much into this, but I think Kirkman and et al. Are trying to bait the audience into looking up who Negan is. And then they will see the Glenn spoiler.
That's true.
And
he's going to rope-a-dope us?
That would definitely be the first
That's the
search results, right? Negan is going to bring up spoilers.
So is the takeover?
Yeah, pretty much. Because
I feel like the first person there that said that they're building up this aura of invincibility is actually he's not wrong. But I'm going to take the devil's advocate and say that or the God's advocate, because I think it's the right one. What the fuck? Now I'm baiting the audience. I like that. The Kirkman shit's going in my head.
If the devil's speaking, God has to have a counterpoint, right?
You have to cloven hoof fits. So I think that if they do kill Glenn at this point, it's going to feel really cheap because of him surviving through kind of dumb luck on so many occasions. That they've jeopardized so much that Negan putting the baseball bat against his skull, people are going to be like, this isn't going to happen. Rick's going to... And maybe that makes it more powerful. But I think the smart money is on... And I can't believe I'm saying this in the same sentence. Is on Kirkman baiting us with these naked spoilers, having people look up this stuff. It's like, as you say, if you Google Negan Glenn, first result's going to be probably Glenn's head splattered with his baseball bat.
Yeah.
That it would be an interesting setup to have, again, Daryl, which has been my theory for 3 years now, Daryl take the bat. Because at this point, Glenn, we're going to be kind of like, how many times can you... Yeah, how many times can you have our heart up in our throats before we, as a protective reflex, don't do that? I did it tonight. There's no fucking way Glenn dies. They just did this will-he, won't-he thing.
Right, and that's what Luke says as well. Surely it won't just be a carbon copy of the comic now, right?
That would be interesting to use internet culture against itself.
Yeah.
That we know there's this many spoilers. We know comic book fans are going to want to spoil people. Now it's Zig where we should have zagged and do something that will genuinely shock people.
And I feel like a show, there would be another option if the show didn't take itself so fucking seriously. In making Glenn kind of a joke where they constantly put him in peril and he's constantly saved by
West
something
Batman.
random. But then one time, he fucking dies.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's dead now.
Yeah.
Like maybe that would be, it wouldn't be shocking in the same way, but it might be interesting in a different kind of way. But the show is too self-serious.
That's a Z Nation kind of plot.
Exactly. Like I would love to see something like that in Z Nation, but this show won't do that.
It's kind of the opposite of how they always killed Kenny.
Yeah.
But he always came back next episode, except for that one like weird season and a half where he was dead permanently.
Yeah.
It's like you play it as a joke and then you play it straight and then you make it a joke again. And then you just stop doing it. So anyway.
All right. Last email. Edwin C. This is a doozy. Long one here. Just wanted to give you the comic comparisons for this
Edwin's
episode.
the comic spoiler aficionado.
Yep. And he's gonna trot them all out here.
Ah, damn it.
Number 1. Rick and crew walk out into the walkers. This happens the exact same way in the comics, with the exception of Ron shooting Carl. I mean, he did, but didn't you say in the comics like Carl kind of leaps in front?
No, so in the comics, Douglas, who is the Deanna analog, is the one who shoots Rick for getting them into this mess.
That's right.
And Carl takes the bullet. So, and I actually think this is an improvement.
Yeah.
Like the character of Ron, who may not even exist in the comics, and the pathos he had with, that stuff was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I think he doesn't exist in the comics from the emails I remember before. Anyway, number 2, Rick goes nuts on the walkers. This also happened the same way in the comics. Rick, unable to control his emotions, starts taking out walkers and everyone joins in, except there are a few casualties, including Morgan, who's bit by a walker and put down by Michonne. Also, there are only a few hundred walkers behind the walls instead of thousands, so they are able to control the crowd of zombies easier without distracting them as Daryl did. So Daryl's subplot thing,
but also I think
people
are thinking, and I think you've fallen victim to this too, is that you're forgetting the fact that the majority of the horde got let off.
Right, but I thought they were like there must be at least 1,000 walkers out there.
I think that's an upper limit, sure.
Like 50%. Yeah, I think it was
like I think the original herd was 4,000 or 5,000, and I'd say that they drew off about 80% of that. So just judging from the massive crowd that we saw them lead out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if there weren't that many, why not kill them when they're at the wall? I don't know. Anyway, he goes on. Also, the rest outside the wall are pushed back little by little in the days after, and Rick comes up with ways to trap them with positioning cards, certain ways around Alexandria, making mazes for the herd to walk through. Mm-hmm. And then Glenn's rescue of Maggie in the comics. Maggie doesn't really need saving like this, but Glenn and a few others are coming back from a supply run, and they use Spencer's rope technique that he used a few episodes back, which failed spectacularly, to get back into Alexandria.
Yeah.
It goes bad, and it almost gets him killed, with Glenn losing his cool and stating that he's not going to make it out alive, foreshadowing his death by Negan. Number 4, Negan's group tries to ambush Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham.
So it seems like that they're trying to weave a lot of that stuff into the prologue. The mazes and kind of Rick being tricksy.
Yeah,
they wanted to get that stuff in.
And the rope trick, all of that. Yeah. They're still doing it. It's just they're mixing it up so much.
It's the remix.
This is
why I didn't fucking reread the comics, man. Yeah. I'd rather not know all this.
Too bad.
Stuff.
Number 4. The ambushing by Negan's group of Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham. In the comics, Michonne and Rick are also present. They're making their way back from the hilltop, having made an agreement with their leader to take out Negan when they run into a truck full of Negan's men and start to regulate.
See, and this is interesting. They haven't even introduced any of the other settlements, which makes me wonder if they're going to cheap out with the budget and just make this Alexandria versus the world.
Oof.
In which case, I'm really interested in see how they do the final chapters of the Negan plot, because that kind of depends on all these communities coming together to face an existential threat.
Okay. Should be interesting. Number 5, Carl gripping his dad's hand. In the comics, Carl is in a coma for quite a while, wakes up with temporary memory loss. This is the moment in the comics where Carl started to get really scary to me. In one issue, he hides in a supply truck in an attempt to assassinate Negan.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yep. When everyone asks where he is, Abraham states that he's fine, and he should be more afraid of getting on Carl's bad side than worrying about his safety. He becomes very unpredictable after this, which hysterically makes him Negan's favorite person of the group.
Yep.
That's interesting. And he says, even though we get Negan's name drop, I think we won't be seeing him until the last episode of the season. But I think he's talking about all these other groups being introduced before then.
Yeah, I was gonna say
which maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows?
I feel like I mean, Hilltop is just literally a kind of makeshift palisade type of like, you know, stumps with the sharp points, like settler times.
Really?
Settlement.
Like no real buildings or anything?
No, they have, but they're all kind of like rough-hewn frontier type settlements.
Gotcha.
And they got like blacksmiths and horses and shit. And then the king, I can't remember what the kingdom is, how they're laid out and what
that's
kind of
tiger
acreage
guy,
and stuff.
Right?
That's I think his name's Ezekiel.
Okay.
That has the tiger creature. I mean, throwing a tiger would be fucking cool. And for everyone's like, well, that's too comic booky. I present you Michonne.
Right.
Like Michonne striding in with her two chained up walkers with no arms, with her katana and her cloak was comic booky as hell. And they went there. They're doing Jesus, which is another comic booky guy. We've had confirmed shots of this guy Jesus on the set, and Morgan's already kind of like the Jesus archetype. I don't know. Like the thing is with the tiger, it'd be the budget. If you have a CGI tiger mauling a bunch of zombies, that'd be fucking cool, but very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think you could do it with Hilltop, and maybe you just do a third settlement that's kind of like Alexandria, but you have to have some way to visually make them distinguishable. So maybe it's just Hilltop. Do you think they would work with just Hilltop and Alexandria?
People. They're all tiger people. They don't have pet tigers. They're tigers.
Sure, they're like Kazinti. From the Larry Nivens verse.
Yeah, or the Skyrim cat people, whatever they're called.
I don't know. Never played Skyrim.
Okay.
So do you think they can make it work with just two settlements?
I don't know, because I don't know that arc of the comic book really well. But I feel like Negan's group has got to be big enough to where losing these, 7 dudes out on the road isn't going to be a huge problem for him. But it has to be, like, if they're only going to go Negan versus Alexandria, it's got to be small enough to where I believe the Alexandrians could take them.
Yeah, and I think that's also a crucial piece of it, is that what makes it work so well in the comics is that you kind of are, you're inspired by what Rick has accomplished in his speech about what you can do, and you think that, like, oh, well, now you're going to see Rick steamroll these mercenary bands, and it turns out that, oh, you can have a guy who's just as smart and resourceful and tough as Rick, but he's got like a negative alignment like the governor. Like the guy's the governor was insane and
not the best tactician.
and so in Negan's just a really interesting guy.
Okay.
You wonder how much of stuff he's doing because he's crazy and how much that he thinks that's what needs to be done to keep a measure of like that his brutality is calculated into getting a desired result from his people.
Gotcha.
Rather than I'm doing this because I'm an insane lunatic.
Like almost a greater good sort of thing.
Yeah. This is like a Machiavellian thing rather than a governor thing.
Okay. Should be interesting. I hope Jeffrey Dean Morgan can bring a lot of good stuff to that character.
See, I thought that was
the
direction
direction and writing don't fuck him over.
The great thing about the character of the comedian is the comedian's not insane. He's got a point. Like, I'm living in a crazy world and kind of laughing at it and not taking it too seriously and doing what I'm told is how I get through this crazy world with a measure of sanity. And I think that's kind of Negan's. That I think is brilliant casting.
Yeah.
So as like I said, there's a lot of reason to be excited, but then you get this long list of remixes that seem to be pointless. That is the reason for your cautious pessimism.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's it for the episode. We'll be back next week, I guess.
Yep. Again, Watching Dead at baldmove.com if you got feedback, or forums.baldmove.com. And I am interested to see. I really hope that they don't string Negan out to the final episode, but it seems like that's probably something they'll do.
Probably. There's a lot of rebuilding to be done in Alexandria.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of I feel like they could use a little bit more dancing with Negan's men, and a way for us to really feel like that Rick. I mean, that because I guess if they do it like in the comics, there'll be another confrontation with Negan's men that Alexandrians handily beat, and think that's the last we've heard of that until Negan really shows up.
He's got to deal with it himself.
Yeah, and you see the gates surrounded by bad motherfuckers with guns and lots of them.
At the very
least, you realize that Job I've made a terrible mistake.
It's hard to imagine anything that would be scarier and more impressive than the tank rolling up.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see how it's done. But you also have to remember, as far as timeline goes,
Negan with the tank wrapped in barbed wire would be more terrifying.
All right. 2 tanks.
2 tanks.
But you also have to think, as far as the timeline, they still have to find Alexandria, right? Like, they were going to find them at the beginning of this episode. Daryl ruined that plan.
Yeah, they're how many
now
miles
he's got
out?
No idea where
Sure.
the explosion came from, what killed his men, all that stuff. So still a little investigation to do.
A couple search. Yeah, and then you're right.
Yeah.
There's Alexander's tore up from the floor up. They're knee deep in the dead. They got to get all that shit cleaned up.
The cleanup alone is going to be.
But on the other hand, I don't want to see 3 episodes of that.
I don't really want to see it. I can just imagine it.
But yeah, they got to rebuild the walls. They're talking about, I think there's going to be some debate about how their society, there's going to be a big debate with Morgan on one side and Carol on the other about how this society is going to want to be. Mm-hmm. And Rick's going to be really kind of like Solomon he's going to take these arguments seriously because now he's got this newfound optimism about making this work.
Yeah,
and building this new world, and if we're building a new world, how does it look? So,
or he might be out of commission a little bit, like in season 2, where he's dealing with Carl being injured, kind of just by his side.
That would be another Kirkman remix, honestly.
And Michonne has to step up and deal with the moralizing.
This is what I've been kind of waiting for: is how do you rebuild society, and what does that look like, and what struggles you have to stop fighting the zombies, stop fighting, really try to lay down roots and make something of this. And I'm excited conceptually. We'll see what the execution is, but
we'll see.
There's definitely a lot of room for optimism.
Yeah, cautious pessimism.
Cautious pessimism.
All right, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye-bye.